It was easier back
They
then.
did. Yeah, of course it was. But they
done well at the tournaments back then as well.
They're world-class players.
I think the thing for us, Peter, is just getting to tournaments. I mean, we were in Germany. It's the first major tournament I've ever been to watching Scotland, and it was fantastic. We're never going to win the World Cup. We're never going to win the Euros.
No, but
just get us there.
Get there, right? And we were all on the get there. Then you get there and you go, right, can we?
We fancied our group as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
We fancied
that was a good group. We got there. I'm not of the opinion.
Do you think if we play them now, say they would have that tournament next month and that was your free, you would be in a lot better. You'd be in a lot better of an opinion getting into it now based on the performances that you've seen over the last 3 games, I would say, when we were getting into it.
Yeah, but the point I go back to, and this is the only thing, and the point I go back to is I am desperately hoping somewhere along the line we can get, a group of players, somebody that emerges that gets do you know what I want? I want a John Souttar not injured. Injury-free all the way through the tournament. I'm not saying John Souttar's the be-all and end-all, but he's a step above players who are not getting any minutes.
No, I like John Souttar. I think he's been excellent for Rangers this season as well.
Didn't take Souttar though, did he?
No, he didn't. I don't think he took him to the Euros.
I don't think I think his fitness curtailed his chances towards the tail end of the season. So that's why you're saying to yourself, who is coming through that can suddenly get a regular place? Listen, it might be that John Souttar and a Jack Hendry, suddenly just click. Mm-hmm. You're looking for a partnership, and you're also looking for, as I mentioned last season, Tam, when the international games came about, and also going up to the Euros. Sometimes you're lucky that you get in a run where a couple of players emerge that weren't there before, and they add to the squad. You know what I mean?
Doak or Tommy Conway.
Do you remember we had a conversation on this couch when I mentioned to you, I said I would take Ben Doak just for experience, and then he ended up bloody getting injured, a month later.
Yeah, even just, you're right. Listen, we've seen him at under 21 level. He's a standout at Liverpool. He's a superb young player, and I think he makes a difference for us. We've not got that. We've not got that anywhere in the team. Somebody that's quick and aggressive and with pace that can get at people. We've not got that at all. He's made a massive difference to us the last couple of games. I'm hoping Ryan Oney, the boy at Sheffield United.
I done the under-19 game last week. He played up front. I thought he worked tirelessly. Had a bit of quality. Didn't really get many opportunities, but he looked really
Tell me about him.
I worked with him at Bradhurst, Peter, at Hamilton Accies for 4 years. It's Armand Oney. You know Armand Oney. He played with different clubs in Scotland. I think
he used to pop up in the Soccer Saturday.
He scored a lot of goals, big Armand. But he's 19. He's at Sheffield United. He's made his first team debut down there. Hamilton sold him before he'd made a first team. Well, he was just in and about the first team. Hamilton sold him. He's 6'2". He's a big boy. He's quick. He's powerful. He can score goals. He's skillful. He just needs to keep his feet in the ground and keep working hard, and I think he could be the one that comes through for us. There's a couple in under 19, obviously Lennon Miller's there as well, Max Johnson, so we've got some good talent coming through, but they've got to be playing first team football, and I'm not sure Ryan Oney's going to get that at Sheffield United. He's on the brink yet, but he's only young. But Max Johnson's playing for Sturm Graz. He's the next one for me right back that can come in and maybe displace Ralston. So Lennon Miller's playing every week, so I think we've got 2 or 3, Peter, but we need more.
Yeah, absolutely, and it is again. It's somebody says that Peter's a glass half empty kind of guy. I'm really looking and trying to be glass half full on somebody that emerges. If it's only, then all well and good. Just somebody that can offer us something up front.
Sometimes a lower league player who's young goes out and gets games and scores goals. Lon Shankland went to United. There is guys who do emerge. Maybe
Shea Adams playing against a better quality standard of player in Serie A suddenly becomes a different style of player. If you go and play in a league and then you have to work out ways to score, and you have to change your game and adapt it. Who knows?
I'd love to get on board with that, but I just...
You're not buying it?
No, not for me.
No.
What do you think, Tam, with that one? You still think he'd be better?
I think Shea Adams is probably a bit on current form. It was disappointing Euros. He was poor at the Euros.
Yeah. What was that? You could also flip that as well. He'd done a lot of selfless running.
He did.
Nobody to carry the ball up the park. He was just running.
Nobody played well in the Euros, let's be honest. But big players never turned up. John McGinn was going into it flying and never turned up.
Yeah.
Scott McTominay was okay, but they're big players. Ryan Chris, these guys like that, you need in top form, and they are in top form now, and that's why we're getting results.
Cam's working with the strikers at Braidhurst.
Yeah, I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, I mean, this
is win the World Cup.
This is the reason why. This is the reason why we're in the shit, because he's...
That's how I'm not producing any strikers.
No, but the striker one is dead. It's because even academy football in Scotland, the boys club, they'll play 1 up. So that's, like we said before, it was always 2 up. It's half in that.
I'm hoping that comes back, Scotty. I'm hoping that comes back round the 4-4-2.
That's a big thing. And what they're asking of strikers now, even for young ages.
Well, wait a minute, what are they asking?
To drop in and your wingers go beyond. So the type of striker that we're looking for, a real focal point who's always in the box. Kids aren't in the box for most of the game these days.
Was that a failing of the SFA, or is that a failing of the clubs?
I think that's just how football's emerged.
It's modern football, and it's everywhere in Britain and Europe. It's all play the same way, don't we?
But unfortunately for us, like in Spain and even Poland, where Lewandowski, they can run, they can jump, they're clever, they've got the IQ, and they can finish. They're the full package.
Yeah.
To do that job really well, you kind of need to be at top level, full passion. That is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, listen, we need somebody. It would be absolutely fantastic if we could get somebody like that. I have to say, just out of curiosity, our apologies if you have lost us on our live feed. Hopefully you can get us back. But nevertheless, over and above that, if you have just lost us technically, we are back with you on our live feed, and I think the good news is that we are still optimistic about Scotland in the future. The live feed hasn't changed dramatically from that. But nevertheless, thank you to so many of you for your comments. John says, we still need a decent striker. And he says, I'd play McTominay up front. Well, listen, I have to say, somebody says, Frank Kennedy says, Peter was getting criticised, so he pulled the plug. Yeah, absolutely. Not quite what I would do. This one here, Kevin Nisbet should be given a chance. You never know, Kevin Nisbet could keep developing.
He needs to get his on the team at Aberdeen first. Yeah. I think that Sokler's up there, and he seems to be the #1 striker at the minute, and they're flying. Listen, it's difficult when you're a striker and the team's going well and you're not on the team. The manager tends to pick the same 11 every week. So Kevin's a talented striker. He's been in the Scotland setup before, but if he gets in the Aberdeen team scoring goals, just seen it with Nicky Devlin, he got himself in. So Steve Clarke will pick players in the Scottish Premiership that are playing well every week. And
also, Graham Caldwell makes a good point. Let's not forget Lewis Ferguson getting back to the levels of last season. But again, he's a midfielder, you know.
Goal scoring midfielder.
Yeah, goal scoring midfielder, as Tam says. Yes, and you can't moan about having too many good players, even if it's midfield.
I have to say one thing though, which was a joy, which is quite simply, you know, when Ben Doak gets the ball and there's a little step over and there's a jink left and right, it's an absolute joy to watch. I mean, I don't know which way, and I'm being slightly flippant and facetious with Bonzo here, but I don't know what's happening with the coaching. He's a joy to watch. He's just exciting. I'd love to see more of them.
Yeah, but again, he's got that real top-level pace. It's not an easy... We don't have a lot of them in this country. He's obviously come through the Celtic Academy. They've done a lot of work with him, as you can see, but there's still that element of freedom in his play, and I think that's why he's so unpredictable, especially when he's dribbling.
Yeah, that's another one. You're talking about young players coming through in Scotland. There's a young player that came through at Celtic, and straight away Liverpool snap him up. That's an issue for us as well, Peter. When we are producing younger players, even though Firm are doing it, your Liverpools, your Man Cities and all that are buying them. They'll pay £1 million for them and take them down the road. And if a player wants to go, Celtic lost the boy Rudi Vata's son as well. You know, Rocco Vata as well.
Yeah.
There's clubs in England who, due to the Brexit situation, are looking up here now and they're going to games. There's loads of scouts at youth games and at first team games. And a Ben Doak, possibly, he would have been in the Celtic first team, but the chance to go, I think he would be, but the chance to go to...
At the time he left, I felt he definitely made the right decision. Because at that time, under Ange, with Jota, James Forrest, Abada, there was an easier path into Liverpool's first team than there was Celtic, which is incredible.
Yeah, that's a debatable line as well, isn't it? Not between you and I, but just overall. Some people will argue and disagree with you, but I've got too many things that I disagree with you all on, so I'm trying not to get caned too much. Robert Bald says we have 0 quality strikers and we still have Grant Hanley at the back. We won't be a top team. And again, it's very difficult to argue with the fact it's not Grant Hanley's fault. It's quite simply the fact that we just don't have centre halves or enough of them that suddenly can form a partnership. But there are a lot of positives.
We've not had all the partnerships. It could maybe be like you says about Jack Hendry and John Souttar. That could be great. So could Ryan Porteous and John Souttar. We've not seen it yet.
Absolutely. Just another little point I was going to get to you guys, but one of the things that I think the positives that you've talked about in the last few games, Steve Clarke thinks it sets us up nicely for the World Cup campaign ahead.
Yeah, there's been a lot of good moments over my 5.5 years. A lot of good milestones, a lot of good improvements. And like I say, this is just another step on the journey. We want to go to another major tournament. We now start next year with a tough playoff to try and stay at the highest level of the Nations League, but that'll set us up for a tough World Cup campaign, and we're ready for it. We've shown that we're ready for it.
Well, I think on the basis of progress, yes. I'm a Steve Clarke fan. Not too many people are of a certain group. There's some people just would easily have him sacked. I was a Steve Clarke fan, and I thought he's still open to criticism for the way we played in the Euros. I think you've got to.
I think we all.
You've got to be.
We all criticised him. I mean, we were over there, and the Tartan Army were
brilliant.
They were brilliant. They were there in tens of thousands, and utterly disappointed with the performances, and he deserved all the criticism that he received after the game, after the tournament. We were poor, and we were toothless, and we were negative. But I do feel that there's been a bit of a change in the last 6 or 7 games. Just
out of curiosity, as the World Cup comes up, if we were to qualify, are we in a good place because there's more mileage and more experienced players? You know how everybody's talking about, when the Andy Robertsons and the John McGinns and that start touching 30, are they going over the hill? I 30. That's what I think.
Look at Modric. Who's he? 39.
Yeah. Hold on a second.
No,
let's not be silly and start putting up a world class player. You've jumped right in there. Look at Modric. But I just look at our more experienced players, and you think, some people are thinking and wondering whether they can cut it. I think there's still more of a peak to come from them. Andy Robertson just is magnificent.
See, to have these players like Ben Doak and potentially Lennon Millen that come in, you need Andy Robertsons and John McGinns within the squad. You need that for the balance of the group.
Absolutely. So I think from that point of view, I think we're all of the opinion. Of course, just out of curiosity, one real positive is John McGinn just keeps on scoring goals. I mean, it's absolutely outrageous. I mean, if you see his scoring in relation to some of the other previous top goal scorers for Scotland, I mean, Dalglish and Law are still out there in 30. Hughie Gallagher, 23. Laurie Riley, 22. John McGinn, 20 now, surpassing Ali McCoist.
Yeah, he's been fantastic for Scotland, John McGinn, and I still think he's got another.
Catch Kenny, won't
he? 3. I think he's got 3. I think he'll. Like it was like Linda Blair in Exorcist there. Listen, he's 11 goals, Peter. I think Jordan's got another 3, 4, 5 years in him at international level. Yeah. 11 goals. It's going to be difficult, obviously, but it's not impossible for him to get 11 goals in the next 4 or 5 years with the amount of international games. You really want us to keep getting relegated into the bottom pot against San Marino and all that, and he'll
start
beat Kenny.
Battering them in.
You'll be sick.
Well, to be fair,
would you replace a Ken Dalglish room with John McGinn for doing that?
Not a chance in hell. The other thing about it as well, if he does beat Kenny's, 30 goals. Then you'll be on late night off the ball with Tam Cowan for a regular occurrence.
Don't miss a
trick, by the way, honestly. There he is with his wee ball face and everything.
He's got eyes everywhere.
I looked and I thought to myself, there you are. He's got his finger in every pie that's going, by the way, isn't he?
It's freelance.
By the way, you never see him on his social media saying, thoroughly great time with Tam and Peter.
I've not said that about anything.
Yeah? Yeah, okay, we're monitoring you.
I put my Sky one up, in fact.
Did you?
Aye.
Yeah.
That was for a good cause, for Diabetes UK.
Yeah, absolutely. Which I thought was a good
Are you ever going to mention PLZ? That's what Peter's saying. Are you ever going to mention that you work for PLZ or you're involved with PLZ?
Yeah, or you
never put any clips up of me to retweet.
Well, if you could say something,
Yeah,
well, we might
slaughtered 3 weeks ago.
you know, if you could,
Been outlandish.
if you could have an opinion, put it up. Ryan
Peter's not happy.
McGowan's in 3 clips. He's been in blistering for him.
Doesn't even speak.
Yeah, he doesn't even turn up.
After beating Falkirk, I thought he'd been here now. Clean sheet against Falkirk and a win. I thought he'd have been odd.
Honestly,
with bells on it, man.
He says, I cannot make it. He says, I'm really sorry. He says, because I was desperately hoping to sit here in Kane Tam for them battering Falkirk, but nevertheless.
I did miss a good conversation last week about the youth and that. I did watch it back. It was excellent. I said that to you, didn't I?
Just on the other point, I think it's a good point. I'm obviously a noise up with you, but I thought it was a good point highlighting the diabetes, because for many down through the years, that sort of thing can be an obstacle that they think they're never going. Anybody in sport thinks they can't overcome. I had early experience of it with Danny McGrain, and you only have to look at Danny McGrain. He was absolutely world class and was able to manage it. And I think it's good that footballers like you come out and highlight that to give young boys and girls that sense of you can do it, you can achieve anything.
Yeah, well, for me personally, when I was 10 or 11, I was diagnosed at 3, but even at that, the player that was getting mentioned to me was Danny McGrain, who played 15, 20 years before I knew, so there was nobody in that kind of time when I was playing that you could go to, whereas when you do come out and speak about it, it's, as much as it's for the kids, it's a really good thing for the parents to see, because parents are affected by it a lot with their kid and they worry, can they play football, can they not? And then you obviously have myself, who's had a career in football, and now obviously Bruce Anderson, who's at Kilmarnock. So I think it's good for the kid, but it's also very good for the parents as well. Yeah.
Did you know Bruce before you went on that campaign? I like him as a guy. He's a good guy.
He obviously had the thing that happened at Easter Road where he fainted and ended up in hospital. So that's how I kind of got to know him. I'd wrote him a few messages before because the doctor from Aberdeen had messaged me because he was diagnosed at, I think it was 16. I was 3, so asking me questions, how does he manage certain stuff, so a full circle type of moment, and then we obviously both of us sat down and kind of spoke about it.
Yeah, and had you a chance in your time at Celtic to speak to Danny about it?
Yeah, well, with Danny, so there's a thing called the freestyle Libra. Even the people listening will probably see it when you go on holiday. You see people with the wee patch on the back. You see it a lot more now. I was one of the first people in Britain to have that, and we went out to see Danny, and Danny's a funny cat. He was still doing the same things he'd been doing 20 years. And I said, listen, Dan, this will help you. It will let you manage diabetes a lot easier. And after about 3-4 months, I managed to get him one. And his daughter had wrote to me about a year later saying, thank you very much for getting my dad to kind of see the light with this. It's made a real difference.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Great credit to you. Because I must admit, it must have been really difficult, obviously, trying to chat to Danny in a football sense, because obviously he's world class, and then you get levels, because
world class back in the day,
yeah, absolutely fantastic. No, world class, world class now. By the way, he's up there with. There are certain footballers.
He had him in his World 11 before Cafu.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Cafu's got no part.
Cafu's the go-to one. I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
It's just because it's only right back you can really remember off the top of your head. I'd have picked Gary Neville.
Yeah, absolutely. You're such a tadger. It's by the way, can I just say, Danny McGrain, there's a clutch of footballers that you would have loved to have had. If I could pick, here's a great question for you, Tam. If I could pick 3 footballers, obviously you guys is good, we have a right good noise up on the Wednesday, but if I could pick 3 footballers that I'd love on the couch for a right good noise up. Now, Danny was brilliant because just when you thought you were getting above your station, he could leather you with a one-liner. And he was funny. He was just an unconscious comedian.
Yeah, I found him really funny.
He's absolutely
I'd spent a lot of time with him.
He's brilliant. Then I'd have Tam Burns, because Tam Burns could give you the cold stare and then deliver a line, and then his chat was sensational. And then the next one I'd have on the left-hand side would be Ian Durrant, because Durrant is really funny. His patter's good, and it'd be a right good noise. Can you imagine those 3 sitting on the couch with us, Tam?
I don't necessarily know the 3 of them well. I know Durrant.
Was there anybody you enjoyed as their patter was great? You thought in a dressing room, fantastic. I'm happy with
Probably
it.
Big Yogi.
Yeah, Yogi's great.
Yogi Hughes was brilliant. I mean, I remember we'd a smaller player at Hibs at the time, on the YTS, Jamie Carter, and the boot bags that put the balls in. He emptied the balls out the bag, put wee Jamie Carter in the bag, and tied the top of it, and put it out onto the pitch.
As you do.
Put it on. I mean, he's getting done for
these things.
He's getting done for child cruelty now. He'd probably get sacked, Yogi, anyway. We go out onto the park and Andy Watson's setting the cones up on Easter Road, setting the cones up and all that, and Big Yogi carries them out as if it's a bag of balls. And puts it down and says, "Everyone, there's your balls." He said, "Oh, right. Cheers, Yogi." And Yogi goes in to get the balls out, and the wee guy jumps in and goes, "Whoa!" And he nearly gets sacked. Andy Watson nearly had a heart attack, nearly sacked him. It was Yogi's fault, but I remember Yogi used to get into the boot room, turn the lights off and say, "Right, all the Edinburgh boys out, leave the Ouija's in here." And they would just come in and batter us all.
Yeah.
17-year-old Big Yogi.
Aye. Boys for the West Coast, but there's no coast in here.
The Ouija's.
Glasgow.
It was...
Yogi would definitely be one of them. And obviously an infamous clip when they're recording and he comes out naked with a laps in the park.
Past Maurice Johnson. Actually, Martin...
Jason Cummins for me.
Yeah. Would you have Jason?
I would have Jason. Jason's funny. It depends how he tells the story, because you can tell when he's telling lies because his mouth starts quivering and that. You can tell. In terms of bringing a dressing room up every morning, Jason Cummins, one of the best I've seen.
If you do get a chance to see it, Martin Geisler interviews Maurice Johnson when he's playing for
It's on YouTube.
And when Maurice Johnson...
Met Maurice Johnson?
Yeah, well...
When I signed with Celtic, Maurice Johnson had come back over from America, and I met him in the Bovril Bridge, and he was telling me about his tobacco when obviously he went to Rangers.
Yeah.
For a good couple of hours.
Yeah, it's a programme in itself.
And a fellow Judas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Johnson, Scott.
Well, to be fair, by the way, I don't think it matters. You're not that type of person. Maurice was a special breed. Only Maurice could have done that and thought, I can take the hassle. Although, may I add to you, when Maurice Johnson signed for Rangers and the whole of this place was going mental, I lived in Edinburgh at the time, and Maurice just ate in Edinburgh restaurants with a bodyguard by his side. Absolutely, yeah. He would not be. But you couldn't go.
How bad are we talking?
You couldn't.
Dangerous.
No, you couldn't. This whole place was going nuts.
That was just the Rangers fans.
Yeah. Yeah, so absolutely. Maurice was a special. He was the only man that could handle it. Although, back to the point, if you look it up, Martin Geisler is interviewing Maurice Johnson about Falkirk, and he's playing there. It was the tail end of his career, wasn't it? But Yogi, unbeknown to Martin and Maurice, had got stripped off, bollock naked.
Just his boots and socks on.
Just his boots and his socks, and ran round the park and ran past the two of them.
Everybody laughing.
They're doing the STV interview, and it's absolutely...
Was it live?
It was
live, and it was very cold and all.
It was cold, so... but Yogi is the type of guy who would do that sort of thing. Yeah. Maurice Johnson, you could dedicate an entire...
I actually met Maurice when I was playing in America. I played in America,
Did you play in America?
We played Toronto.
He played for a couple of sides
Colorado
in America.
Rapids, MLS.
Yeah, no, we've spoken about it every bloody week. He does it. I
met Mo Johnson after the game. He was
Toronto.
CEO of Toronto FC.
Yeah.
Met him after the game.
He was absolutely top drawer as a player.
Still his earring in.
Did he? At that age?
Charlie Nicholas.
Yeah. Certain players can get away with it. Let's have a break for the news.
Hello and welcome to your daily news headlines on Wednesday 20th of November, sponsored by Arnold Clarke. With rumours of potential interest swirling down south and a national team call-up on the horizon for Nils Koppen, Celtic fans will be happy to know that the player's agent has reportedly said the winger is in no rush to leave the Scottish champions. We spoke this week on the Football Show as to whether or not Nils Koppen has been the best player in the Scottish Premiership this season.
He's probably been, I think he has been the best player in Scotland this season. I think you've just said the stats there, 10 goals and 11 assists. Last season he really struggled. He didn't look fit, he looked out of sorts, but this season totally transformed, and he's been superb this season.
Hearts have announced a new partnership with Jamestown Analytics, a leading football data company that has done well with the likes of Brighton down south. Andrew McKinley, the Hearts CEO, has said that this is the start of a new era for the Gorgie side, and it's an era that promises to be truly exciting. Finally, Dumbarton were placed in administration this week after directors said that they were left with no other option. They joined fellow League One side Inverness Caledonian Thistle and been deducted 15 points. Those were your Daily News headlines on Wednesday the 20th of November, sponsored by Arnold Clarke. For more exclusive content and breaking news, please be sure to download the app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Thanks to Cara for the news there. Remember, when you're telling us something really exclusive, try not to do it when we're coming out of the news. Tam done that one day and got nearly got his head kicked in.
Lewis Stevenson and Paul Hanlon signed for Wraith.
Did you do that?
And they hadn't signed it. And I says, I was talking to Ian Murray, and I think he's going to sign the two of them for Hibs. And I didn't know it was live.
They made some people laugh.
It didn't. Ian Murray phoned me that night and says, what are you talking about? You better stop talking rubbish. Did he? Aye. And he signed the two of them.
A little bit of news on Hearts, Jamestown Analytics. Hearts have announced a deal with Jamestown Analytics, which will see them have exclusive access to the player data system. They've obviously got ties with Brighton and Union Saint-Gilloise. And also this data will be used to give Hearts a greater insight, maybe greater access to certain players that might enhance that squad, starting 11 as well. What do you make of it?
Well, I think you can't really make a judgment until we see the players that they do bring in. I think Hearts fans, I've seen quite a bit of them over the last month. There has been improvement since he came in, but I think the formation he wants to play, he needs specific type of players in the positions to get the best out of his formation. I think that's what you'll look at, but until we see the kind of level of player they bring in, then it's hard to kind of judge, especially with the Scottish League, because it is different from the Premier League and what type of players they'll be looking at for there. But the analytic company that we've seen, what with Brighton, have plucked guys from Ecuador Second League and they end up superstars, so that will be very interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing about it. I think we have to wait and see how this whole analytics, because I think a lot has been made of it, but a lot of clubs are using that whole process now. That, you know, we all talked about the Moneyball situation years ago, and then you look and you see Brentford embraced it, you know, and Brighton have embraced it. There's lots of clubs that look at it. I mean, you could actually...
Really stable clubs, both of them.
Yeah, but you could actually look at it and say, maybe even Celtic are looking at and operating that way, because if you look at the players that they look at and try and bring on, they are clearly looking at some kind of stats and, you know, some kind of scouting which says we need to sign this certain type of player. So lots of clubs adopt it in many ways, whether it's called Jamestown Analytics or...
I don't think it's exclusive to Brighton, Peter, you're right. I think there's a lot of clubs who are doing it at the minute. Obviously Brighton are the highest profile team that are kind of using it, with Tony Bloom. Very, very clever man, you know, made a lot of money. And Brighton have came from nowhere really to be an established Premier League club because of Tony Bloom and because of his, you know, appointments in terms of managers and recruitment. So time will tell with Hearts. You know, there's going to be a lot of data going into computers in terms of players, you know, wide players, how many crosses they put in, how many shots they put in. That'll all get developed and to see if the manager, is the manager going to be tied to that? Is he going to be told, listen, these are a list of players, or is he going to still use his eye to go and sign the players?
No, if you're using that kind of method, and then you flip that as well and you go, well, how does that fit in with the budget that Hearts have for wages? What type of player do you go from that type of player down to that type of player, in with the methods of using Jamestown Analytics? So that's why I think it's very hard for us to say that it will work, because of the difference in obviously budget.
So if it does work, it's Jamestown Analytics and Tony Bloom that's going to get the credit. If it doesn't work, the manager's going to get sacked.
Well, there's a harsh...
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a harsh way to look at it. But the point is here, with all of these clubs, they're brought in because they have specific data as the type of player that will play the system. But there's got to be an element of saying the manager still coaches the side. The reason why I say that to you is we had Tony Docherty on here last Friday, and Tony basically still says, I like to go and see the players that I'm signing 2 or 3 times if I can, to get an insight. You still have the scout. What is it called? The Y Scout.
Yeah.
You still have that, but you likes to go and see them in the flesh, because you get a greater appreciation of someone's overall awareness, how they react, the ball coming to them, where they take up positions. You know, everybody can look good in a video.
Well, not everybody, but I think, listen, I get Tony Docherty's point of view, but I think the Hearts model will be completely different from Dundee if they're basing it off what Brighton have in place and has worked for them. The consistency with Brighton in terms of players coming in, even with their managers as well, and the style of football, the whole brand of Brighton's one of the best run clubs in Britain. If you can get even a percentage of that into Hearts, Hearts could be in a real good position.
Well, never mind Hearts. Nils Koppen at Rangers, that's a job where he's basically going to have to unearth a few gems in that January transfer window. Rangers have to, between now and then, somehow close the gap on Aberdeen and Celtic, and then hope by the time they get to January, they've got enough in the tank to enhance that squad. And Nils Koppen's just been, given an additional role, director of football, and now technical director.
Yeah, I think if you're a Rangers fan, I think you're slightly disappointed in this appointment, Peter. I think that it reeks of a cheap appointment. It reeks of just giving somebody that's already there more responsibility. It's not as if the players that he's helped to bring in the summer have been brilliant. And he's now getting an even bigger responsibility.
Him responsible for a lot of the players that have come in and haven't been happy with.
Yeah,
and he's now getting more responsibility within the club to. I'm not sure about this, Peter, at this one. For me, I think Rangers supporters would have been wanting somebody fresh, a fresh set of eyes to come in. It reeks of just somebody, it's just a cheap appointment for me, personally. I don't know the guy, I don't know how he works, but if you're on the outside looking in as a Rangers supporter, I think we've took the cheap option again. We're just giving him more work to do. And they've still got 2 or 3 big roles to fulfil within the club as well, which shows no sign of being resolved at the minute.
How important is that role?
I think it's massive, Peter. If you're a technical director, you've got a say on the players that are coming in. You've got a say in how the team plays. It's a big responsibility, a big role. It's mostly recruitment. And as I said, he's there. His record's mixed at best since he's been there. And it's incredible faith that the Rangers board at the minute are showing in him to give him a bigger role. But
it is the easier option, though.
I think it's they've just took the easy option, going, right, can you do this and this,
right? You need to fill that position to take a bit of sting off us. That's the way it looks like.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you one thing, even if he's filled it in on 2 counts of director of football, technical director, it's heaped the pressure on him because he's going to have to unearth something. I don't know how much money he's got in the budget for January.
That's another thing.
But he's going to have to unearth somebody.
Yeah, Rangers do need recruitments come January, I think.
What do you think they need?
For what? To challenge for the league?
Well, listen, the ultimate is
challenge for
you've got to win their title.
To challenge for the league, that's the same thing we said. I think they need another 6, 7.
6, 7 players?
Yeah.
Rangers?
Yeah.
6.
To make a real difference to that squad, I do, yeah.
6, 7 players you think Rangers need to win that league?
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
You think more or less?
I'm not saying win it, I'm saying to give Rangers a chance where they can go on a run. Right now, with the team, the squad that they have, I wouldn't be confident saying Rangers could go 5 games in the league unbeaten with 5 wins.
Well, I must admit I'm slightly surprised by that comment, just by the sheer scale of 6 or 7. I know I said to you, look, give us something half decent that we can use in a clip, but I didn't expect you to jump over the cliff with no parachute.
I was thinking 8 or 9, Peter.
You think 8 or 9?
He might need that to finish second.
Do you want me to tell you something? I actually think, when I look at Rangers, if I was speaking to Nils Koppen right now, I would be saying to him, go out and get me 2 strikers, first and foremost.
Right, 2 strikers then, Peter, right? I still think they need a creative midfielder. I think they need a winger. So we're on 4 already. Another defender.
I think if you're looking, you're saying to yourself,
right back.
what would make the biggest impact based on the games they've got? Hold on a minute. It's easy to jump in and say 6 or 7, right? Now,
Striker, 100% need a number 9.
If I look at it, they lost to Aberdeen, they lost to Kilmarnock, they lost to Celtic. That's the 3 games they've lost, right? Mm-hmm. The rest of them they've won. They had a draw against Olympiacos. They defeated Hearts by 1-0. If you look at the games that Rangers have got coming up, Dundee United, Nice, St Johnstone, Kilmarnock, Ross County, Tottenham, Dundee, St Mirren and Motherwell before they hit Celtic in the 2nd of January. Now, they're all winnable games. If Rangers, for me, had a half-decent striker, you know, those games, some of those games would have been more comfortable instead of the tight, very turgid games. You're talking about he might not have...
to challenge the Celtic squad.
Yeah.
Forget about anybody else, not even Aberdeen. To challenge that Celtic team and the quality they have, I think they need 5 or 6.
Well, you agree with that?
I do, Peter, I agree with him. I think that Rangers need better quality in certain areas. I think certainly the front areas. You know, Czerney's been decent. I think he's been the one. Bajrami started well, and I'm convinced about him for the money.
Maybe unless he goes in as the guy.
But Yanis Hadji there, I'm not playing him.
Not going to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's certainly it's going to be a massive situation, and of course they've got Dundee United on the games back, which Tam's delighted. We're back to domestic football, and there's quite a break, Tam, before we get to international.
Yep, March. I've already looked at the calendar.
You're about to come into your own.
I am.
This is where Tam really becomes what I call the quality pundit. We have a little glimpse of it.
I have a lull in the international break. I don't like it.
International break, he just becomes a dullard, and then once he hits the old festive period, he starts getting the boots out, you know, with the metal studs, and he's absolutely fantastic.
Well, if Scotland keep winning games 2-2, then I might like international breaks again. But I just don't like it. I like our bread and butter.
Could they have
big Scottish football, man?
Could they have problems in Dundee United? Dundee United have been going well.
Yeah, they could have problems. Obviously, Dundee United have had a great start to the season. I do think you're right. If you had a better striker, you would expect them then to go and beat a side like Dundee United. You just don't know what you're going to get out of
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah,
I'm the same. I think if Rangers had Kyogo on their team,
yeah,
I think they'd be neck and neck with Celtic. I think it's that their striking department is so poor. There's nobody you can hang your hat on. I don't think the guy Agamani's ready yet, and Dessers is average for me, even though he's got a decent goal scoring record. So I would expect Rangers to win that, but if Rangers had a top number 9, I'd be sitting here going 3-0 Rangers. But I think they might just scrape it down against Hearts.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, game of the weekend is undoubtedly Hearts against Celtic. It's a strange one though. 7:45, that game on Saturday night. The old calendar and kick-off times is mental now. If I was...
I think I'd like that.
7:45. Well, basically what you have to do then is, if that was Tam and I going to that game...
Go after it.
Well, no, but the thing is, you need to go to Buster Brown's. Is it still open? You need to go to Buster Brown's. You need to go to a nightclub in Edinburgh. You just need to stay over.
We'd be Why Not or something, or the Dome.
Shut before my time as well.
Yeah? What was the club
I'd go to the Dome for the Christmas.
You go to the Dome? Yeah.
No, I went to Le Monde.
Le Monde.
You know?
That sounds a bit...
It's
smelt lemon with a D.
Was it a poser? Thanks for that.
It's a poser's paradise, aye.
Yeah.
Nice.
You and I,
nice.
Tam, would be, I think it's in Frederick Street, Fingers, late night.
Oh, Fingers, I stayed 2 streets down for that, which was not good for me.
But it's a strange one. I'll tell you one thing though, a right good game. I think that's a belter of a game. I'm looking forward to that.
I think the kick-off time actually helps that, and obviously the atmosphere that you get at Tynecastle, I think it'll be an excellent game.
Yeah, these are the games that I think, you know, I'm not going to discount Aberdeen in this. These are the games that Aberdeen and Rangers will be wondering, can anybody lay a glove in Celtic? Tynecastle, Hearts Celtic, floodlights.
Yeah, but it can go both ways.
We know that. Just because you're sitting in Ruffy's seat, don't give us probabilities. We know it can go both ways. We know if one team scores more than the other.
Celtic to win. I fancy Celtic to win.
He's getting into the mode, Tam, isn't he?
Yeah, again, I've not been particularly impressed with Hearts.
Can you see Celtic losing a game?
No, I honestly can't see Celtic losing a domestic game this season. I think they're looking periods, their strength and depth, they can change 5 or 6. I don't see them losing a game unless, you're right, probably Hearts away. And Ibrox is your ones that you would think maybe. But apart from that, Peter, no, I think they're too strong for everybody else.
Just get 5 or 6 in for the January game.
Yeah, on the first.
Yeah, on the first.
Yeah, that would be. Who was the last? They're actually. I think there has been a team that had signed 5 players and they were all in a row with their shirts in front of them. I can't remember who it was, but there was like 5 players.
You're right. Hibs.
There's been a few. Even Hibs.
Yeah.
15.
Yeah. And of the other games to look forward to, Ross County, Motherwell, St Johnstone against Kilmarnock, St Mirren against Aberdeen. And the bandwagon just keeps on going. Kobe's just on a high. If Kobe's not reporting, he's now down as an ultra at the St Mirren game.
Yeah, listen, this is going to be a difficult game for Aberdeen. These are the games that you've got to go and take 3 points from if you want to finish in the top two, and if they can go and take care of St Mirren away from home, who are hard to beat at home, then you would think that Aberdeen would be up there this season. Dundee Hibs is a huge game as well, Saturday 5:45 kick-off, I think, live on the TV, but David Gray can't afford to lose this game. I think he's gone.
This is the breaking point.
Yeah, I think this is it, Peter. I know you get the vote of confidence, but I just think, I'm looking at this game and Hibs are bottom of the league, and I just think he cannot lose that game. If he gets up and gets a draw and plays okay, then maybe he'll survive to Aberdeen on the Tuesday. I think they've got Aberdeen at home on the Tuesday, and then they've got Motherwell away, but he's got a big, massive week. If he goes up there and wins, then everything starts to look a bit better, but I don't think he can afford to lose again, Peter.
I think it'll be a tough game for Hibs. I'd obviously love to see a Hibs win, but I think that will be a draw.
Yeah. Do you think he's in the
I think there's
critical position?
Yeah, he is obviously in a critical position. He has had the backing, the vote of confidence that we've seen there, but he also had the backing of Ian Gordon in the interview I think he done about 6 weeks ago now, and said that they just can't afford to keep sacking managers. So I think that might give him a peace of mind, but ultimately you need to start winning games.
Yeah, okay. Just before we go, one little footnote. Last thing we want to see is a situation where clubs are, going into administration, 15-point deduction. Dumbarton, the latest off the back of Inverness, and a club with a great history, but it's not a good situation.
No, it's not. We actually played Dumbarton last week up at Kelty. I know quite a few members of staff up there, and listen, it's really unfortunate, especially two teams who are a big part of Scottish football, and especially in recent years as well, Inverness, and cup finals now, Dumbarton, who are a historic club. I played there when I first came through, but Dumbarton at the Rock, it's quite synonymous with Scottish football, so very disappointing, but just hoping everything can come out smooth sailing at the other side.
Yeah, and of course, Tam, it's a worrying situation right across Scottish football. Some clubs get by on handouts alone.
Yeah, they do. Listen, I think there's going to be other clubs, Peter. I think you look at Inverness, you look at Dumbarton, there might be other clubs really struggling at the minute to survive, and it's sad. He's right. Inverness, good club in Scottish football. Dumbarton, I think it was a sale of some land or something, or a stadium that fell through and
spent the money, I think.
Yeah, and listen, you're hoping somebody comes in and saves them, but it looks as if only one club in that division that will be happy was Inverness. Yeah,
I did see one little footnote. Again, this is if we talk about the positives of course, Scott talking about diabetes, there is also an underlying thing, which is basically, I think Kyle Lafferty was speaking to BBC Ireland, talking about the regrets in his career. Gambling seems to have been one of those big problems. There are lots of pitfalls for footballers who can't occupy their time.
Yeah, I think when I first broke through, it was, Tam will give you his experience as well. There was boys in changing room where after training they went to the bookies. I wasn't one of them, and I've seen a lot of things that kind of put me off that. So listen, I think there's a lot of help out there now to help these people who are in these situations, but it must be a horrible thing when you're addicted like that.
Yeah, actually, for many footballers, it is about occupying your time. Sometimes when you get a bit of money, it just takes you down a road you don't want to be going down.
Yeah, especially when you're finishing training at 12:30, 1 o'clock, and you know what you're going to do the rest of the day. Before I met my wife, I like to bet as well, like to gamble.
Yeah.
Obviously, she takes care of the purse strings now, which is great for me. But yeah, I understand it's a boredom thing as well at times. You go home and you've got nothing to do. A lot of players go and play golf, or a lot of players would play snooker, go to the bookies, go to the pub. Now I think, obviously players are more professional, they wouldn't go to the pub, but I think it's still prevalent in Scottish football. And anywhere, Peter, you see some of the high-profile players in England getting done for gambling. Tonoli at Newcastle. So it's not just a Scottish football thing or a British thing. It's all over the place, all over Europe, and thankfully there's more avenues for people to get help now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think great news for you and I, Scott, knowing that, Sam get married and he can go home and there's something to do now, which is fantastic. That's great news. That's great news for everybody.
No, this week she's away on holiday. She's going to come back with me in a cardboard box. I told you not to go on holiday. I'm scared now.
I swear
He did walk in with a wee red pen in his ear.
I swear to God, when this programme ends, he's got his microphone off and he's right out that door with about a minute and a half. And on that note, just look at the smile on his face. Anyway, we'll leave you with that thought in your mind. Thanks to everyone for posting their opinions, good and bad. We like to keep it decent on the programme. And remember, try and keep your comments decent. And if you can't, then this is not the show for you, as Tam and I often ban people for being out of order. But good to see so many positive comments and, of course, opinion on the programme. Thanks to Scott. Absolutely brilliant to have him on as ever with Tam McManus. And if you get a chance, hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Thanks for listening and watching.